communications in India. She's also the co-founder at Cognite, an emotions artificial intelligence tech company, which deals with effective computing and analytics. Cognite leverages artificial intelligence to understand human behavior by recognizing facial expressions, analyzing voice patterns, as well as the tone of voice, etc., so that they can help organizations make smarter decisions based on data rather than gut feelings alone. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Clarita. My only request for all the students who are participating is to switch on the camera so that I can know who am I speaking to. And because the session is on entrepreneurship, so I believe that all of you are really interested to be an entrepreneur, and that's why you are in this session. In most of the colleges that I go to, sometimes it is a forced session, but I would still want people to switch on their camera. Thank you so much, Krish, for initiating. That I can see you. I'm sorry for the cough, and that is a sound you will be hearing additionally out of my voice. Okay, sorry, ma'am. My request was only to the students, but you're switching it on. Thank you so much. And yes, because the first thing that we are going to learn about entrepreneurship, or what are the skill sets needed to be an entrepreneur, the first one is to be present, right? And this is how you will show that you're present. Hey Vedant, I can see all the sunlight behind you. So
yeah, ma'am.
I got that. I'm just pulling your leg. Okay, Nikhil is also here. So we have Glory, Nolan, Jovan, Ruben, and 11 others. Please switch on the camera. The first thing that we need is to be present, right? How else will you show that you're present? By showing your face, right? I am requesting for all of you to switch on the camera so that I can see all of you, and it feels little alive to see human in front of me and not only the name and some random display pictures, right? So we will start with this thing called as being present or being presentable, right? Both of the things are actually the same thing of one thing. When you are being present for something or somebody, you also need to be presentable, right? So I can, and all of us, most of us are at home right now. So at that point of time, some of you might be very comfortable because you will be at your home close, right? Some of you might be taking time to switch on the camera because you're just decluttering all the things which are there in the background, and just combing your hair and be a little bit presentable. This is something which is important whenever you're talking about your startup to anyone, or even about yourself, right? Being presentable is very, very important. When I say being presentable, I'm not a fan of buying big brands because and also I got to know about this quote called as, you have a family to feed and not a society to impress, right? So whatever you wear, at least look approachable, look presentable, that's all, right? So you can be a person who will be working in the startup day in and day out, and you have not been brushing your teeth for 2 days and not been taking bath for 4 days, but the other person does not need to know all of that, right? So they need to know a clear face. When I say clear face, that means no blemishes and stuff. I'm not talking about if you have any pimple and sort of, it's totally a different line altogether. But I'm talking about just being present, like, comb your hair and, get dressed, be present. Whenever you are on a video call from now on, I'm talking about the professional side, not any lecture or a session. Switch on the video just for the courtesy sake also, because we are also following up with something called as the exposure effect, right? So in the psychological field, you will hear about this thing called as exposure effect. What exposure effect is when you see a person, right? And even if the person is present in the peripheral vision, you will be looking at the person again and again, and subconsciously you will be very much familiar with the person, even if you don't talk to that person. So whenever you discuss your idea with another person and the person has been seeing you, there is a likely chance that he will or she will hear you first, and you will be given some amount of privileges, right? So being presentable and being present is really important when we are talking about our startup. That is something I have learned throughout all these years when I was running my own body language training and decoding firm. Second thing, whenever you are going to meet somebody, right, even if you get a 5 minutes of window, it's very important for you to identify who's a person you should connect with, right? So second point will be networking, right? Networking is very important. And how would you network? In older pre-COVID days, we would have this networking events or fest or conferences. Now things have gone digital in a crazy way, right? So everything is digital. In this way, it's very important for you to network with people, especially your potential client, and if at all you're interested in the business, then potential investors. I would still suggest you to go and make networking connections with your possible clients, right? And you cannot just say that, hey, my name is Kanan Tandi, and we are selling this platform which captures the facial expressions or emotions. Nobody likes door-to-door salesman, right? And if you were ever in that era when you were growing up and somebody came to your door saying that, madam, we have this thing, your mother just didn't take a second to shut the door off on their face, right? So nobody likes things to be sold to them, but people do like awareness or information. So you have to be a salesman, but you also have to be somebody who makes people aware of what your product is, right? So networking really helps. And for networking, you guys need to be on two platforms for sure. One is LinkedIn and second is Twitter, right? And LinkedIn and Twitter, if you're not there, I have been in LinkedIn since, I don't know, but in Twitter I've been in Twitter since 2009. Never really used it, just made a profile and kept. I think most of you would be in the same category, right? That, oh, people are saying Twitter, let's just make an account on Twitter. So you need to be active also in Twitter. You do not have to have a lot of followers, but keep posting something. And what is the thing that you're about to post? Write about those things on your Twitter profile, right? Talks about startups, innovations, creativity. Or, for example, I have written talks about human behavior, psychology, nonverbal communication. So whenever you are going on a digital platform, you need to know who will be your target audience, what will you be posting at, right? I sometimes post about personal stuff also, sometimes memes also, but then make sure that your digital body language or your digital persona is something that people will relate to, or at least they will be understanding what you are doing, right? So having a LinkedIn profile and having a Twitter account, really important if you're thinking of a startup. I'm not talking about any of these things. For example, if you tell me that, hey, ma'am, I have a agri-tech startup, I don't think being present in Twitter will help me, right? So in there, being present in Twitter might not help you in reaching your clients, but it might make people more aware, right? Start posting with do you know, or facts or things which are interesting. If you read an article, go to quillbot.com, paraphrase it, summarize it, post it. Always work smarter, right? Hard work, obviously, everybody is doing, but do smart work also. I'll just post that a tool that I use, and that is an amazing platform because it helps you paraphrase what you want to say. So if you are worried about your bad communication or bad phrasing of sentence, this tool will definitely help you, right? So quillbot.com, this is something I use and it's free. Anything which is free, most of the people love that. So that's the second thing. Networking is important. Now the third thing, talking about networking, we need to understand how do we network, right? We're talking about online networking and offline networking. And for this thing, we need to understand the importance of body language or importance of non-verbal communication. Sometimes startup founders become so passionate about talking about their own startup that they forget that they are taking other people's time. You need to start speaking in a short way and a very effective way. This will come only when you start speaking, right? If you are interested in having a startup, just know that one thing which you have to really is having a communication. And communication can be in any language, does not have to be only in English, right? This is now in our country, we give more importance to English than any other language. But then there are people who actually have very good communication in whatever language they have a hold on, right? So if you feel that Marathi is a language, Konkani is a language, Hindi is a language where you are capable enough, then start speaking in the same language once you are posting something about it. Totally fine, right? And then we have translator also, who can translate and give the same thing. But whichever language you're comfortable in, start speaking in that language. I will also say start speaking in English also, because that language will help you reach the masses outside India, right? So two languages, Hindi and English, is something that most of the people understand in India and outside. So you can try that. And if you are a fan of Portuguese and Spanish, definitely welcome. Any other foreign language is very, very welcome. So whenever we are talking about communication, we have two communication. We have verbal communication and we have non-verbal communication, right? So when we talk about verbal communication, you need to understand how to speak, what to speak, and when to speak, right? The first thing which is important for us is what to speak, right? So whenever you are meeting people, you need to understand who that person you're talking to, right? So let's say that so all of you are students, so probably you will be having a CV, curriculum vitae, or a resume that you will be forwarding to any of the companies, right, in future or probably now. So you have just one CV that you keep forwarding to other people, right? Now, probably I have a company which is into emotion AI, and I need a data scientist who has worked on data classification. But your resume does not mention anything about data classification. It just talks about interest in machine learning, right? Now, this will be little different. So whenever you are meeting somebody face to face, on a video call, on a telephone call, just understand which is the person you're talking to, or who is the person you're talking to, right? It might be a possibility you are a tech startup and the person you're speaking to comes from, let's say, a humanities background. So you're going all gaga over all the jargons of tech, like you're talking about this is we have made this in React JS, and we have this API services which get merged, and all the things have been coded in Python. The other person does not know about all the things, right? So you need to make them understand in a way that they will understand. So whenever you are talking to another person in front of you, understand from where they are coming from. If it is something which is of a similar background, then you can use the jargon. Totally fine. But if it is something which is different than what you're doing, right? Maybe you are doing, let's say, a drone technology is something that you're working on. And at that point of time, the other person who you're speaking to probably is working in bank. Okay. And they must have heard about drone, but they do not have an idea. So how will you tell a person what exactly it is? So same thing applies to your curriculum also, or your courses also. If you're understanding something, if you're doing something, you can make other people understand what exactly are you doing. right? It took me few months and years to make my father understand what am I doing, right? Uh, he was a civil servant. Now he's retired. So every time when somebody asked him what does your daughter do, he used to say, "Ha, she has a business." Now business is in what? What does your daughter do, right? Thanks to our government, and everybody in now the startup culture is becoming a thing, so people are understanding what startup is, so it's easier for people to tell that what is your child doing. Okay, she has a startup, right? So that is fine. But whenever you are telling somebody about your business, about you, about what you're doing, about how are you doing, it needs to be very simple. And for all of that, your vocabulary is not needed. Only your ability to make people understand is needed. So you should start with somebody, let's say a relative of your, a cousin of your who's younger, right? Who's probably studying in an 8th standard or a 9th standard. Tell them what you're planning to do. See if they're understanding or not, right? If they're not understanding, you need to change the pitch there. So always have your elevator pitch ready. We call it elevator pitch. With the same mindset that if you are stuck or not stuck, if you are in an elevator with, let's say, Ratan Tata, and you're going to 10th floor from the first floor, what can you possibly tell them in an elevator that will hold on with them? That's why it's very important for us to have those 2-3 lines for us or our business, so that people will understand what we are doing in a very simple term, right? And let's just be honest. Within the first meeting, no person will give you the 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs or will say, "Oh wow, that's such an amazing product, I would like to buy it," right? So we need to go with something called as IDA model, and that is something, if you know about management, you will get to know. Otherwise, any MBA mostly knows about it. So it's called IDA model. Attention. Sorry, I forgot the full form. Wait a second. Yeah. Attention, interest, desire, and action. Right? So attention can also be called as awareness. So you need to just say something or present in a way that it catches the attention. Right now, because of the COVID or because of the laptop or the phones and internet, our attention span has become lesser and lesser. But so is our interest span, right? So whenever somebody is, you must have experienced this also. When somebody is telling or speaking something for a longer time, you'll start getting bored, right? So it is very difficult for a person to hold on somebody's interest. That's why we have TikTok or we have reels, which are small, within 15 seconds, 30 seconds, you see, you laugh, and then you scroll, right? That's why we have Tinder. When you look at the guy and you feel, oh no, good or not good, swipe, right? So we keep doing that because we have less time, and that is also something which has becoming a little bit of problem for us, because now we have to become very interesting, right? So as long as you are not a famous Bollywood celebrity, or let's say a cricketer, or let's say Cristiano Ronaldo's family or a Kim Kardashian, you will not be holding people's interest. So you need to work on yourself as well, right? Or what are the things that you are doing which make people interested in you? So now CogniQ, the company that I'm working for, we capture the facial expressions, emotions, voice, and words, and we deliver a report which tells about a person's emotional profile and also communication, right? So this is what we are doing. So now when I go to a client and we tell them that, we have done all these technologies and there are 3 different texts that we are using, they will not be very interested in that. You need to just tell a person how are you bringing value, and hence communication is very important, right? And no matter if you have a business or not, if you just know what, when, and how to speak, right, that will be enough. And when I say enough, it is a tough task. Because you might also feel or have seen your relatives or your neighbors, once they come and start speaking, they just keep talking, right? And you do not really drive any value out of it. So spend time with also the people or the tools or the platform where you derive value from, right? I look at reels. So whenever I'm looking at the reels, I probably there will be 2-3 kind of reels which always show up. Animal videos, because I have a dog, so I like more dogs. I will see some people baby videos, where a baby is dancing or something, or probably a meme, right? But whatever is going on, the latest trend. So right now the push button is going on, where people are just dragging their legs and then dancing, right? So now you need to be, I'm not saying you need to be aware of these things fully, but when you are a little bit of updated in that way, what is going on, it becomes easier for you to connect with people, right? So whenever you are connecting with another person, just have a basic idea how or the person is, or what kind of background the person have, or even if the person is interested in you or not. So I'm also going to give you a little bit of body language tips, facial expression tips that will help you in connecting with people better. The first thing to connect, and let me just be very honest, body language and facial expressions learning tip can take a one full day of course, right? So I'm just going to concentrate it. The first thing whenever you meet somebody online or offline is having an eye contact, right? Now, here, eye contact is very different because we are talking about video call. So how will you make an eye contact? You will look at the people. For example, now I'm looking at, let's say, Rachel. So I'm looking at Rachel, but Rachel will feel that I'm looking somewhere here, down. But this, when I do this, probably people will feel that, oh, she's making an eye contact with me, right? Now, this comes with a little bit of practice, right? It takes a little bit of time, but when you look at the camera or the lens here, it feels like somebody is looking at you and is talking. And hence, whenever there is the video on of other people, it feels like, okay, I'm actually talking to a lot of people because I can see everybody else in here, right? So eye contact is important, definitely. Second thing which is important is having a smile, which is genuine, right? Now, when I say genuine smile, it's okay, totally all right if you do not want to smile, right? But do not force a smile just because somebody else has told you to. Because when you force a smile, you look deadly. This does not look good, right? So it will like, yes, good morning, sir. It will look very bad. So do not force a smile if you do not want to smile, totally fine. Now, I by default smile a lot because I have been trained in my family when I was a 4-year-old that whenever you smile and talk, because not smiling and talking is a bad behavior, right? So it has been inculcated in my brain. So that's how I have been brought up. So by default, I smile and talk to people, which is not always good. But you need to smile and talk when you are talking to somebody, and make sure it's a genuine smile. Now, talking about smile, I have covered some amount of smile in the last session that I had come to Don Bosco College of Engineering. For those who were not there, I will still cover a little bit. And for them, for those who were already there, just consider this as a refreshment of smiles. So there are certain type of smiles that we should avoid, right? The first type of smile that we should be avoiding is the contemptuous smile or the one-sided smile. It looks very good on Dev Sena from the movie Bahubali, but it does not look good on us when we are smiling and talking, right? So that contemptuous smile is one-sided smile, and it looks like this, right? So it also gives an image that you are so full of yourself, right? So, okay, so Kanan, what are you doing? Well, we are making an emotion AI platform and which captures the facial expressions, right? So, you need, so that gives an impression that a person is very full of himself or herself. So one-sided smile needs to be avoided. Some people, by default, they smile like this, right? It's also because one side of the facial muscle is being paralyzed and only one side of face moves, right? So that happens only when the smile occurs, because there are a lot of facial muscles which are indulged in one smile. That's not needed. But if you can smile normally like this, so please smile generally. So that's one smile which we need to avoid. Second smile which we need to avoid is the embarrassing or the nervous smile, right? So the nervous smile is again very easy to identify. It looks like this, right? So it's like you remember that, oh, suddenly I have to smile and now I have to smile, right? Don't do that. If you're scared and nervous, accept that you're scared and nervous, it's fine, right? Being from the psychological or non-verbal communication background, I can recommend you that it's better that you accept the present scenario rather than faking it. So fake it till you make it does not really work. I have not seen it in actually in a normal way or in a practical way. So you need to accept that you're being nervous, and that will do the job, right? Third thing, another smile that you have to avoid is the fake smile. So fake smile once looks like this. If a girl is smiling, so it looks like this. And if a guy is doing a fake smile, it looks like a pursed lip smile, which looks like this. So this is not a smile. These are the smiles which needs to be avoided. If you are talking about your own business, who are you? What are you doing? You do not need to have a elevator pitch or something which is written, right? Sometimes I have also seen people who forget to tell about their own name. My name is okay. My name. It's your own name. You've been living with that one name since your birth, mostly, right? So what is your name? What do you like to do? What is your business? These are some things which should be already there, right? So nobody should tell you that, hey, you need to speak this, and this. The normal elevator pitch should include your name. What is the idea or startup you're working on? How will it help people, right? And how would you know it is a good business? It's very simple. You are solving a problem for some people and they are willing to pay you for that solution. This is how you know it's a good business, right? Now, some of the people can also work for lifestyle and hobbies or for passions. That's totally their call. But whenever you're talking about yourself, be energetic. That's the third thing in non-verbal communication. You need to show the energy, but again, you do not have to have a Ranveer Singh energy while you're talking about yourself. You need to have your own energy, right? Same to same, people should also feel that you are interested to talk about you and yourself. I have probably pitched about my business for thousands of times, right? But it is for me, it is thousands of times that I have repeated the same thing again and again and again. But for the other person, it's the first time. Always remember that. And because of that, you need to have energy in the voice, right? So you need to have energy, you need to have enthusiasm in your body or excitement, and it needs to be shown through facial expressions and the hand gestures, right? Because if you put down the hand and you're speaking that, hi, my name is Kanan Tandi and I am the co-founder of CogniQ, Emotion and AI Analytics, and we capture facial expressions, it does not feel good. Try using some hands if it comes naturally. Remember, none of the things should be a forced thing, right? So if somebody has pointed it out that you don't smile, yeah, you need to smile more. So you know that you don't smile more and it's okay, right? But you need to be available and you need to be approachable. So that's body language about us. Then fourth thing is having a good posture while speaking, right? Even if it is a virtual call, a video call, you need to have a good posture. I have seen people pitching like this. So I have my company name is this, and so because they're so relaxed, they actually feel relaxed. So understand, the more alert you are, the better the image impression will be when you are speaking to the people, right? And like I said, the hand gestures, or whenever you're talking about it, if the hand gestures are improved, increasing, decreasing, totally fine. How much more to use the hand gestures? Your hand gestures should be something. Now it's very important for me to tell you that the hand gestures window should be this. If you are speaking on a video call, it should not be like this, right? It can be like this if you are speaking on a stage. So make sure whenever you are presenting and you're using the hand gestures should be in this area only, right? Now we have something called as a head movement also. Head movement is important because head movement will not only tell you that how a person is interested, it will also tell about your own self. So some people do not move their head while speaking. And again, everything has just a basic disclaimer. If it does not come to you naturally, you do not have to force it, right? So head movements is also one of the tick marks. If there is a head movement, that means there is some amount of interest. Now, this is something all of you will notice. If somebody is listening to me patiently, their head will be tilted even a little bit. You can check for yourself and then you'll know. If you are making your head straight, that means you are actually patiently listening to me, right? So this is something which is very subconscious, which is very non-verbal, and this is something you as a person need to know. Wait, the video band kar liya. Oh shit, my video is now noticeable. Okay, cool. So whenever we are talking about non-verbal communication or decoding, you also need to know what the other person is thinking and feeling about you, right? So if you are mentioning about your own startup, you're talking about something, if a person is sitting like this, which is a very common investor's body language, like this, okay? Some people are just very full of themselves, don't worry about them. But some people who are actually good people, they actually listen to you, they nod their head, and they will make you feel that, you know, it's totally fine. Take your time, be comfortable, speak to us, right? So we have both kind of people. So the first kind of people who are very, very strong in their body language, who do not move. So you can understand from the body language itself that these people are going to ask me more questions, right? They are listening to me with the intention of asking me questions, mostly negative or mostly a kind of question which will make me fumble. We also need these kind of people because without them we will not be improving our pitch deck also, right? So and then there will be another kind of people who will, like I said, who will listen to you with a little bit of head tilt. When there is a head tilt, because you know we need to be conscious of moving our head. So if we are little bit our attention is different or has gone in a different way, the head is tilted a little bit. There is no right side and left side, that which side if the tilt is there then the interest is more, as kuch nahi hai, right? So that, but if there needs to be a little bit of tilt, and then you know the person is actually listening to you. Second thing, how do you know a person is actually listening to you? You will also see if the person is in front of you live or offline, then you will also find the person nodding their head, right? This is also a very good sign of acknowledgement. But then you can also tell me, hey, this is not a very important thing you're giving me. We already know this. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of more from that. You can know from the head movement itself if the person is actually listening to you or just rushing you through, right? Now, when I tell you about this, you will also realize that you have also been doing that to other people, right? So when you find these people who are very very boring, and whenever they start speaking they just do not stop, you start moving your head faster. You said okay, yeah, okay, yeah. That means jaldi karo aage badho, right? So this will happen. And when you are speaking to somebody about your own startup and somebody starts to nod their head faster, it means that they have got what you are trying to say. They have already gauged where you are and what are you trying to solve, or they have to go to the washroom, right? It's one of the reasons. But whenever a person starts moving their head faster, that means that they have, now you cannot tell them anything because they've got the point. So this is, as a startup entrepreneur, it's very important for you to know these small little non-verbal tips which will save you immense amount of time, right? Because we have We have a lot of time, but we cannot waste those kind of time with wrong kind of people. And that's why learning non-verbal communication really helps. So that's the second thing. The first thing is head tilt, second thing is nodding. Third thing is, if the person is nodding, how will you know if it is a fake nod? Right? Because by now we have mastered the art of fake nodding, right? Because the teacher always asks us, hey, did you all understand? Yeah. Right? So now the original or the genuine head nod is something where a person nods 2 to 3 times. Like if you're making me understand something, it will be like, so that's a genuine nod. Right? Make sure you know this head nods faster and slower so that you will understand that, okay, there is no point in talking about this. Okay. And another thing, wherever there is a tech conference, any kind of conference, or wherever there is crowd, business crowd, professional crowd, try looking at people. That will also give you a lot of idea. And it's amazing to see how people keep faking to each other. Right? None of them is interested with each other, but they are just faking to each other. Right? So another part is when you see body is pointing towards you, right? So if the body is pointed towards you, that means you have person's interest. If the person is standing, however, and the feet is pointing towards other direction, that means again you have lost the interest of the person, right? So this is how you will gauge a person from a distance or while in a conversation. Now, some people ask me this question that, hey ma'am, I don't really get a lot of eye contact, or I find it difficult to make an eye contact with people, which people might think that I'm not interested, or I am very fidgety. Now, for this also, all of you need to know that there are variety of people around us, right? So people are some people are neurotypical, some people are under the umbrella of neurodiversity. So people are different. If somebody is making an eye contact with you and their body points is you and the feet is also pointing, that's all green flags. But let's say the feet is pointed towards you, but the person is like, okay, yeah, okay. So in that case, you will still need to understand if the person actually has your interest or no. If the feet is pointing towards you while you are speaking, standing and speaking, that's nothing like it. Then you have all the attention. Some people also have a less attention span, right? So this might be a problem with them, because if they have an eye contact with that person, it takes a long time. Right? And if you are in the category of having an ADD or ADHD, you lose attention very quickly, and you also start finding people boring. So you need to do something, right? You need to do something, as in, one of the way which helps me is switching on my video if I'm on a video call. If I am on a physical meeting with a person and I feel now the person is becoming boring, I hold on to a thing and then I can work on myself. For example, holding on to a pen, but do not do that tick, 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 all the time. You can hold on to the pen and then you can feel, or you can release all the anxiety in the pen itself, right? So these are some of the tips which really help. Now, that is about non-verbal communication. Let's talk about verbal communication. Your verbal communication includes presentation skills, right? When I say presentation skills, you do not have to share a PPT in front of people, right? So a PPT is very good. And, if it is made up of Canva or, Prezi and, all these animations, it's very good. But then at the end, it is you who has to speak. So if you are dependent on PPT, it's okay, but always consider the fact that technology at the end is a technology. If there is one small glitch and you rely on that and it is gone, then then you have to take all the burden. So whenever you're making a presentation or a PPT or whatever presentation you're making, make sure the slides have less text so that you can speak more, right? And you, like I said, just yesterday I was going through somebody else's pitch deck, and there were 26 slides in that pitch deck, what she does and how she does it and all that. So for me, it's my own baby. I will love my baby. But will you love my baby? Absolutely not. right? I have worked on it. So you need to understand that you're just introducing. So for that, whatever amount is there, you need to make it very crisp, right? So boil it down, then make it short, then again crisp it to one sentence. So you make a presentation, and then it needs to be one bullet point, two, three bullet points. So if you have a presentation, it should not be text heavy. People, you are switching off your video again. This is not done. Okay, switch on your video again. So, so another thing is when we talk about presentation skills, you need to know after which slide is coming, right? So that is something which is very important. And when we talk about presentation, you need to understand that you have to be presenting because it's your own company. And if let's say you are a 2-member team, 3-member team, and you somehow avoid to present, right? That will put you in a very dangerous place later on, right? So start presenting in front of people. Whenever you get a chance, start speaking. And it comes gradually. It does not come naturally, right? For example, till my last semester of my MBA in Symbiosis, I did not know how to present, right? And I was the one who was a passenger. So we used to name this one student passenger. There was this slang. Passenger is the person who has not worked in the assignment and just go at the last moment and just changes the slide when somebody is presenting. So I was a passenger, right? So until and unless this one passenger who had become a faculty, he identified me, right? So he said, hey, move, you present. I said, oh my God, I have never worked on this. How am I going to present, right? I fumbled big time in there, right? So then the next presentation, this teacher identified me again. And then he said, okay, Kanan, you come, you present. I knew this time I was going to present, right? So I prepared. And then when I prepared, I again did a miserable task of preparing, right? So I did fumble a lot. I did, forgot all the lines that I had remembered. And again, I scored D in that, right? So the thing is, what I'm trying to tell, even if you prepare, you will be failing because it's the first few times, right? So that is under verbal communication, that you can be able to speak only by speaking, right? You have to practice somewhere. So go to Clubhouse, go to, what is that other thing in Site or something? I do not know. There's another tool also, Scene, right? Where people are just speaking. You can talk to people, right? So Clubhouse ka Indian version is Scenes. It's like that. Everything which is outside, India has its own version of that. So you can start speaking in those groups because nobody knows you, nobody's seeing you. It will take out the fear of judgment from you, right? And you will be able to speak. And that is the first thing which is important. And whenever, even if you're speaking, I have experiences, I do not know about all of you, but when it is your turn to speak, the heart beats so loud that you can almost hear it, right? And your body is feeling the heartbeat in every part of the body. It's like that, right? And the throat is becoming dry. You feel like, okay, I should drink water. Okay, it's my turn. All of this is made by your own brain, right? So the brain, this is our nature. The brain will never want you to be uncomfortable. So the brain will, and also it's the smartest part of the body, right? So the brain will try to make you comfortable all the time. But you will be smarter only when you will be out of the comfort zone, right? So whenever you get a chance to be uncomfortable, be uncomfortable. So okay, now do not tell me, hey ma'am, I'm very comfortable in full jeans, so I will go in my chaddis on road and become uncomfortable. No, that's not the uncomfort I'm talking about. Okay, I'm talking about when you are presenting, how to present, how to speak, make mistakes, fumble, make grammatical mistakes, pronunciation mistakes, totally fine. English is anyway not our first language. We will make a lot of mistakes, right? But whenever we are speaking, we just need to know next time I'm going to perform at least 1% better than this. And that is the only way we can perform better in performance, in speaking, right? Now, these are the skill sets which are needed for all of you to become noted down, right? Which are also needed, which do not really can be categorized under soft skills, but these three things are also needed for a startup entrepreneur. The first one is being flexible, right? Being flexible as in you might be the best person who can work on the thing that you're working on. But if you become rigid at that point of time, saying that, hey, I don't think that person knows anything, that will be a problem. So you need to be flexible in that way, and you need to be open to learn. It's very important skill sets for all of us. And this is also something which will help you in your personal life, right? Just few days back, I was writing a quote that, every criticism has a desired behavior, or was expected to have a desired behavior, right? So people, I mean, think about your mother, any one of you, like, when your mother complains about something or she criticizes, there is a desired behavior which is expected of you, right? All of that boils down to complaint. That, hey, probably it's 3 days. When will you take bath? It is 2 o'clock. You've still not taken bath. For some reason, mothers are obsessed with us taking bath. Okay. So, so whenever this happens, you know that the desired behavior is me taking bath early in the morning. Okay. Whenever somebody criticizes you, understand there is a desired behavior. I'm not saying you have to pay attention to every criticism, but just try to understand why the person criticized your startup or your behavior or anything. So being open to learn will make you up there, go up there, that now you're willing to work on yourself. If you're not working on yourself, you cannot work on your startup also, because you're the one who first needs to understand that there is some change required, right? Second thing, be friends with people who are also not egoistic, because having egoistic people will make you feel that you are in a roadblock, right? So if you have a co-founder, if you are thinking of having a partner, anyway, having too much of ego will be a problem in future, because you can say that, hey, I'm the person who's very flexible, I'm the person who's open to learn, but this person is not learning anything, right? So that is also something which is important. Be friends with somebody who are also willing to learn, who also talk about growth, right? Third thing which is important is be with people or have a team who are open to feedback. There is no age to be open to feedback, right? My mother has got admission in her MA in Hindi now, right? Because she kept criticizing me, telling that your father never let me do my masters, your father never let me do my masters. So one day I told, just you stop criticizing my father, and you do your masters. I'll see if Papa is telling you to not do your masters. She said, oh, now how can I? I said, what now how can I? Either you don't complain or never speak about it, right? Don't complain and do your masters. And she got herself admitted to the master's degree. She's pursuing her MA in Hindi, right? So the thing is, the best thing about her is she's still very open to learn and flexible, open for feedback, right? It's not praising my mother. It's me telling that there is no age limit for us to learn. And this is something I'm not telling you any new thing. You already know this. But when somebody needs to know and understand, they also need to know they need to be open to feedback, right? So somebody is telling you that, hey, I don't think that was a good presentation. Be open to the feedback. Take all the good things. And it takes time to filter all the negative things, right? Next thing, be aware of your own insecurities, right? When we are growing up, when we are teenager, when we have, whatever circumstance, we develop a lot of insecurities, and that might become a speed breaker again. So be aware of what are your insecurities. My insecurity is I'm not able to negotiate well or something, and my insecurity goes beyond my adulthood, because when I was in my childhood, I was never allowed to ask questions. right? Again, you do not have to blame your parents or the society. You need to understand what are the insecurities. For that, I need to work on it, right? So this is this is a skill which is very important. And the last thing which is very important is to have no ego. No ego in terms of connecting with people, no ego in terms of rejection, no ego in terms of approaching the client. Because whenever somebody rejects you, trust me, it is going to feel shitty. Right? Rejection is not a nice feeling, let's just say that. Right? So whenever we approach somebody for, saying that I have romantic interest in you, or I'm going to sell my stuff to you, and people are saying that, hey, I'm not interested, it feels bad. Right? And then you start to think that, oh wow, I have so many qualities and this person just cannot see my qualities, right? Or I have so many good things for my companies or my product, but this person just cannot see all these things. It's fine, they cannot see that, but be open to rejection also, right? Because even Ranveer Singh was rejected by Deepika Padukone several times, but guess who's the husband now? So I'm not talking about you being husband of somebody else, but then I'm talking about being open to rejection actually prepares us to face the failure, right? In our culture, we never really teach people to accept failure or how to cope with failure, right? It's totally fine if the first startup didn't work out. It's totally fine if you are not getting that job, right? It's totally fine. But then, are you willing to try for the another time? We can try for the next time only if we accept rejection and we face the failure. Only then we will be willing to try for the next time. So have no ego when it comes to getting rejected. You will be getting rejected for sure, right? Everybody gets rejected. So we need to understand this one thing. And the more you know about adversity quotient. Now, adversity quotient is also something, if it is low in people, I am forgetting how much is that, but adversity quotient is how much can you face the adversity, right? How much are you willing to go against the current which is there? So this is important. You need to be courageous at that point of time. You need to face the failure. And by avoiding the failure or by avoiding the rejection, you are only taking more time. Right? So for us, it is very, very important to accept the failure also. And whoever is around you, tell them to learn and know about failure. It's not bad thing. A failure, as a both, like people say this, that a fail or a failure is only a reason or a result of a trial. You will never fail if you do not try, right? So try and fail, totally fine. Next time try something else and fail. So it takes so many trials for a person or so many failure for a person to just be successful only for one time. Right? Even the successful, you can see all the sports people, right? You will find it very rarely that a person has started kicking goals from the first game itself. It takes time, right? So beneath that comes a lot of practice, no ego, working on yourself, working on your startup, and making it stupid proof for others so that everybody can understand what you're doing, right? So that's my time. I hope you understand something new. Please feel free to ask me any question. I would love to answer. Thank you.
Matilda? Matilda?
Okay, till Miss Marilda comes. Okay, somebody else. Yeah, wait, please.
Wade has raised his hand. Yes, Wade.
Ma'am, you mentioned about rejection. So can you please tell about your rejection story and how you cope up with that?
Oh, absolutely. So I will tell you a rejection story which happened just what is the time now? Just 2 hours back. Okay. So there's this company called as Insta Hire. I don't know how many of you have heard of it, right? So it's there's a company called as Insta Hire. Basically, they're like the Naukri.com and the Monster.com, things like that. So I have connected to that guy 2 years back, saying that, sir, I think our Cognitive can work with InstaHire and we can collaborate and then we can work together. Our platform can be very helpful for all the candidates who come into your profile. He said, okay, tell me what can you do? So I had written this much and then I had to make it this much. I said, we can collaborate. So he said, okay, but we don't have the bandwidth. Connect with me after 6 months. I connected to him after 6 months. He said, right now we are busy and we do not have bandwidth. I said, we don't want money. Just start a trial with us. He said, no. I don't think it's good for us also to have you on board because we don't have bandwidth. Connect with me after 6 months. This is the fourth time after 6 months I'm connected to him. Again, he told me the same thing, that I don't think this is working, but connect with me after 6 months and I'll let you know. Right? I know it's probably a no, but I'll still connect with him after 6 months. Because sometimes when you keep asking the person, I say, sir, is it okay? Okay, no, okay, fine, I'll come later. Okay, not now, okay, I'll come later. When you keep doing that, at one time, the person will taras kha ke tumko kaam de dega ki theek hai, le mar. That will happen. I'm just waiting for that. So it's online. But let's say I'm talking about offline thing also. With a company, we were about to, there's one college, I'll not name it, it's in Goa itself. So I kept going to the principal again and again and again. Okay. And at one point of time, the principal actually saw me and he felt so bad for me that every time I keep, she keeps coming and I tell her that, okay, no, not this side. Finally, I got the client. And now every year I go to the same college for at least one lecture with them. And it was back then when I was starting my training form. So this is how I have become. You need to become thick-skinned. Right? Okay. So that's from my end. Thank you. Ma'am, you have a question? Vedant, I'll come to you after I'll talk to ma'am. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Actually, I think few years back, I had been to one college for one seminar. Okay. And the person who was addressing us was Professor Maitreya Atreya from IIC Bangalore. And when he came, we were very enthused to see him because he had done his postgraduate in US. And he came in half pant and one t-shirt usually we wear at home. Okay. And when he started his lecture, we were zapped to listen to him because it was excellent. But as you said, outward appearance is also important. But he was wearing very, very casual t-shirt and half pant. So outward appearance, does it matter to that extent? Is the question.
Okay, ma'am, that's a very nice question. And I would, I have heard about Professor Atreya. Now, that guy is known to not wear formals. Okay, so now the thing is, once you reach up here, this is probably my point of view, but once you reach up here, it does not matter what you're wearing because your value is your words, right? You have already built a name for yourself. But when we talk about strugglers like us, people don't know about what Cognitive is, who Kanan Tandi is. How else are we going to tell them that we are serious about this? There is another way also. All the tech people, this is something I have seen. They always wear flip-flop and ganda sa loose t-shirt and this the beard coming to show that they are from the tech or a back-end developer. Okay, not needed. So what I'm trying to say is, whenever initially we are at a struggling phase, we need to showcase our best self. And one of those best self is by dressing properly. That's all. Like I said, it does not have to be expensive clothes, but good iron clothes, good combed hair, that will be more than enough. So initially, it is important for us to dress up. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, Vedant.
Yeah, hi, ma'am. My question is suppose if you're proposing to a client and all, and you can tell by the expressions they are not interested. So how do we get their attention back, get on our track?
Okay, so it depends on It depends on what are the value that you're bringing in, right? So when you say something about your startup or whatever your product is, that we are doing this, and if you by looking at the facial expressions, you see them not being interested, you need to focus more on the value proposition. What is the value that you're bringing, right? So people get money out of one of the three things: either they save time, or they save effort, or they also try helping in saving money, right? So what are the things that you are focusing on? You need to focus on that value. Because for example, somebody comes and they tell me that, this is a shoe, this is nice, so you can wear it, and I'll tell them that I don't need any shoe because I have enough shoes. And let's say that person says, but you know what, the specialty of this this shoes is entirely made up of plastic recycled bottles. So if you're buying them, you are at least one small step closer to being negative carbon prints in the world. So I'll feel good, I'll feel responsible. So I'll say, okay, fine, I'll take it. So value, focusing on value when the client is not interested really helps. And the other thing is being leecher. So once the client will be rejecting you, second time you be it should not be something where you are just, you are being clingy on that client. It should be very, very nice approach, very humble approach. Sir, are you available? Oh, okay, not now. Okay, fine, I'll come later. Right? And this is also something which is very psychological, because people reject somebody, some part of them also feel bad. So they have pity for another people. So 3 times rejection, 4th time acceptance. Don't apply this to girls, or, don't apply it to them.
Yeah, ma'am, I'll try. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Yagnesh.
Hello, ma'am. You previously spoke about the importance of eye contact, but when you're in a conversation, you can't continuously stare at the other person, right? So, how continuous should be your eye contact, and like how it should differ with like person to person? Like, for example, if you're speaking to 5 people, how should it be like with each
Okay.
one of them?
Thank you, Yagnesh, and very good question. It is Yagnesh or Yagnesh?
Ma'am, it's Yagnesh.
Okay, awesome. So that is such a good question. So whenever you are having a conversation with somebody, at that point of time, whoever is your target person, right? Who the attention you want for sure, that person requires the maximum eye contact from your end if we are talking about a group conversation, right? So let's say I have one prospective client, I have 2 probably interested clients. Right? So I will focus on somebody who I want to target, but I will also make an eye contact with this. So if it should be like majority, like 40%, and then 20%. It's like that. And if it is one-on-one conversation, so that is also a point where we become little conscious of the eye contact that we are making, right? So at that point of time, it's totally fine to break an eye contact, because sometimes, or when we see, we cannot think. It's like that. You need to think and then speak. So it's totally fine to break an eye contact. There is no set rules, because everybody's eye contact time is different. If you ever see Amitabh Bachchan in his movies, he blinks really less. Katrina Kaif blinks really more. Right? So their blinking pattern is also different. It depends on person to person, but totally fine to break an eye contact and talk to people.
Yeah, ma'am. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. If not, let me just share a link with all of you. And probably you can get some help with that. So we have designed we actually had designed this few months back. This is a questionnaire that we had designed if you are ready to be an entrepreneur, and you will get your own report based on that. So you can go through this and you can see about yourself if you are ready to become an entrepreneur. Where is it? Let me just share the link. Yes. So there are certain things which will be asked to you, like why are you doing this, or what are the value propositions. So click on it if you feel like it, and you can get your own report, which is through CogniQ. You can see how your facial expressions were being captured while you were answering the questions. It will help you in understanding that where are you going right now. If you find it okay, and if you also want to be practicing more of this, you can keep clicking on the same link again and again, and it will route you to different interviews. So that's all from my end. Miss Matilda, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I think all the questions have been answered now.
Okay, so it was a very informative and very interesting session, ma'am. So I like to invite Miss Clarita to propose the vote of thanks.
So, on behalf of Don Bosco College of Engineering, I extend a really hearty thanks to our speaker for the day, Ma'am Kanan Tandi, who spared time from her busiest schedule to grace this session. Today, we had an opportunity to hear from your thoughts, and they will truly help us in the future. I would also like to thank Ma'am Kalanai for attending this session. I would like to thank Ma'am Matilda Colasso for organizing this session. It has been truly informative. Once again, thanks to everybody present here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kala ma'am. Once again, thank you so much, Miss Matilda. Thank you so much, Miss
Thank
Avila.
you.
And thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Kanan.
Clarita.
Thank you. I hope to catch up with you after all the cases and all decrees, though we are neighbors.
Yes, ma'am. We'll definitely meet. We'll definitely meet soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening. Have a nice weekend, people. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, babe.